All right, everyone, welcome chat, welcome chat. It is nice to be back with you for this video. Hopefully everyone is doing fine right now. Um, just to give you some note, guys, today we'll be working a very strenuous paper, or we're going to do a lot of practice on the OA. Um, so hopefully you are prepared. Make sure everything is all right with you guys. So for today, we'll be looking at the office administration for Csec preparation. We'll be working the latest years. We'll be trying to work at least 2 years to recap to get that knowledge in place so that you guys could understand. Because we are at a vital moment right now, as you guys would know, we are at a vital moment across the Caribbean. Tomorrow will be the OA assessment for paper 2. They did not release, at least I think, they did not release the year 2025 paper 2. So I would like to get that out there. They did not release that information. And honestly, if they would release that document, I would have been doing that document solely for this live stream. But since we do not have the document, we'll be working 2024, take that down, and 2023. We'll be trying to work those 2 years. Got it? So without further ado, let's actually go into the paper. We'll be working paper 2 for 2023 first, and then we'll look into the other documents. All right, it's right here. So let's read the instructions and let's start answering this as fast as possible. So it says this paper consists of 6 questions, 3 in section 1 and 3 in section II. Let's give me a second. Let me put up this document fully so that you guys could see. Oh, it's back. All right, let's first question. It says for section I did work this paper before, but we're just working it back again. So I just get that out there. Worked this paper before, but we're working it back again just to recap your memories. So it says for section I it says answer all questions in the section, meaning you have to answer everything basically. It says state 2 functions which an administrative clerk would be expected to perform in the office, right? And when we think of that, there's a lot of different functions that they will have to really perform. Let me share this tab instead. Let's actually start. So understand the needs of the consumers. So this is what, and I just like to get this out here, guys. This could work for any question. When you see the question, understand the needs of the consumers, that could work for any. Like for example, if they ask a question like, what is a function of a receptionist? The function of a receptionist is to understand the needs of the consumers. And this same answer could work for any different job selection opportunities. Like for example, what is one of the main function of a business person? One of their main functions is to understand the needs of the consumers. And guys, if you have any comments, if you could chat with me. We could talk. We'll be something hours live stream. This is one of my longest live streams I will do. But guys, you have to focus right now. This is very important. So we have to way address the needs of the consumers. So, and just like that, this is only 2 marks, guys. So you only state your 2 points, and that will be it right there. So first of all, understand the needs of the consumers and address the needs of the consumers. And this might sound basically counterintuitive, but this is all you have to do. And when we talk about the term administrative, let me just highlight this term because I believe this term is very important. What does the term administrative mean? You could tell me in the comments below. What does the term administrative mean? The term administrative means, when we think of administrative, what do we think of? We think of documentation. We think of looking at the inventory management and these kind of things. So when you use the term administrative, we are referring to banking, we're referring to stock inventory, we are referring to logistics. And I post a video right on top here, stating what is logistics and what's not, basic terms in office administration. I'll take a card right on top there, but at the end of the live stream. So if you haven't watched that video, guys, you could go and watch that one on what is logistics. So one of their other main functions, let me just put that right here, is management of essential documents. And I honestly, guys, when I'm doing these live streams, I don't really like to just put in one answer. I like to put in a lot of answers. And that's just me, because I want you to have a lot of answers, or a lot of different answers you could put in place, so that you don't only have to remember two, you can remember eight, you can remember nine, so that when you're in the exam, you have a lot of choices to make. All right. So, first of all, understand the needs of the consumers. Secondly, address the needs of the consumers. And finally, one of their essential, and this is basically their most important role, management of essential documents. But you might want to know, is this all? Is that all of their functions? To be honest, there's a lot of different functions, right? Because one of the other main functions of the administrative clerk is the payroll. They usually see how much money that an individual has to be paid at the end of a month, at the end of a week. So they are responsible for payroll too. They are responsible for payroll. So that is a lot of facts, or that's a lot of points that you have there, guys. So that's question one. First, to understand the needs of the consumers, and just repeating this redundantly because you have to remember this. This is no joke, no playing, no laughing now. This is very important. Address the needs of the consumers, management of essential documents. What kind of documents I mean? I mean documents such as the invoices. I mean documents such as the receipts, and etc. and etc. and etc. Right? They are responsible for payroll. They usually pay the workers, or they check to see how much a worker has to be paid at the end of a specific month. Right? So that's for question one. Right? The diagram below shows three sizes of paper used in a modern office. Identify two documents that each paper size is used to create. And we have A4, we have A5. And let's take a look at this, right, guys? And I believe this one needs to be broken down a bit. So when we look at the A4 documents, this is the basic of basics. You use this kind of documents to prepare. Let me just put that right here. Forums, letters. And when we talk about letters, we mean business letters, apology. This is basic, guys. Apologies, letters, etc. So when we look at the A4 documents, this is documents that we use almost every day, basically. We use this to write letters and stuff like that. So that we even use it to create emails. This is the format of things that you would usually find when you're writing an email. A4, when you're writing a letter, when you're writing an invoice, etc., etc., etc. So that's for the A4 documents. Now, when you're using the A5 documents, we usually use the A5 documents for purposes like, for example, a trifold. And you would usually find a trifold when you're going into, like, for example, a restaurant. So a trifold. So I just put trifold because trifold. Right? So you just create a trifold when you go in a restaurant. I'll just add a little bit more detail because that is work 6 marks. When you're answering questions, look at the mark allocation because they might want a bit more elaboration. This could be in the case of a restaurant or some other social activity. So yes, that's for that. Trifold. This could be in the case of a restaurant or some other social activity. Some other social activities that you might get from a trifold is like if you're getting invited to a wedding, and you might ask the question, what does a trifold have? A trifold, when you usually go into a trifold, there are a lot of things within a trifold. They might look at the dates. They might show you where you should be seated in a trifold. They might show you what time or what sequence of events that will occur in the trifold. Right now, let's go on to our final answer, which is the A6 document. And this document here, you usually use this as a business card. For example, you could use the A6, for example, business cards, um, or business cards or menus. So there's two of the things that the A6 documents is used for. You could use it either for like a business card or a menu. You ever see one of those little menus that you would usually buy. For example, if you're gonna buy a barbecue ticket, that is basically somewhat of a menu, right? And it's very small. It is not big. It is basically very small. So you would usually find that on business cards or menus, and that would be worth or 6 marks, right, guys? So hopefully you're following along. Hopefully everything's okay with you guys over there. So yes, so let's move on. Guys, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to argue, because I like to argue about stuff. Not in a bad way, but in a constructive manner. So if you have any ideas, thoughts, any things that you want to discuss in relation to the answer, you could type in the chat. The chat is open. The chat is not closed. So for section C, it says here, let me actually see this good. It says A to Z stationery advertised their new laptops in the local paper. However, this did not result in an increase in purchases by high schoolers. Now let us highlight the essential information or the essential point. So they're selling A to Z stationery, right? Right? They're selling A to Z stationery. That's in relation to paper, right? That's paper basically. As I said before, this is paper like the A5 paper, the A4 paper, and the A6 paper. So we have to look at this question in a very santical manner, right? So they're selling A to Z stationery, advertise their new laptops in their local newspaper. So it says for the question that we'll be answering, it says suggest 3 reasons why more students did not buy laptops although they were advertised in the newspaper. And we have some basic reasons. It could be because of their personal preference. Correct. What is that? Personal preference. So it could be because of their personal preference or because of personal reasons they might not want to buy the document. So we have that personal preference. Um, monetary insecurity or monetary deficit, personal preference, and something that I really like to say to you, let me see if I put this thing good, is that when you're going to answer these questions, guys, don't put answers that is too complicated. Try to put the most basic of answers. Like, for example, money deficit. They might just simply not have enough money. They might simply be in a deficit state where they may not have the financial obligations, or generally, they may not even have the money to actually purchase a laptop. Or because of personal preference, they may not even want to buy that type of laptop. Right. So that's some of the reasons why they might not want to buy the computer, even though it was advertised. And as I said before, don't put in complex answers because you could get yourself jumbled up. Put in simplistic answers that you know you could elaborate on, that you know you could explain, even while you're sleeping. All right, so monetary deficit or personal preference. We have those 2 points down. What is another reason why they might not want to purchase the laptop? Cost too high. And this is a very basic thing because They may have the money, but the laptop might just be too difficult or might just be too high. The price for it might just be too high, right? So that is worth 6 marks. So it's incredible to note that this question might require a bit more elaboration, right? Let me just let me just change the screen. I want to put it full screen. I don't think that is needed though. So chat, how everyone is doing, how is the preparation cycle for the CSEC? How is it going? How are you feeling? You could tell me, don't be afraid. Tell me your thoughts. How are you feeling for it? Are you nervous? How is it feeling? Are you just normal? All right, so let's look at II. Suggest one incentive the company could offer the customers who purchase laptops. When we mean incentive, we mean deduction, right? Something that could reduce the price of the product. Um, Something that they could do is interest on goods. Interest on goods, right? Or tax exemptions. Or discounts. It could be in Ubuntu. So they could just offer discounts. They could just offer discounts for the good. They could just offer discounts for it. Or they could do interest on goods, meaning that they reduce the natural interest. Or like for example, the goods it costs let's use an average of $5,000, right? If they basically sell the good for $5,000, they could just think of interest on it, a deduction of interest, and instead of costing $5,000, that good could cost around like $4,000 to $3,000 or somewhat in between that. So that's that for that. That's a basic one. So let's see how far we answered. We're still up to section I. Still up right here. So yes. Now we're moving on to 2A. Describe the function of the routine slip when processing meal. Let's see how the chat is. Chat, where are you? Anyways, let's move on. Let me just sting up this here and check up the routine slip just to make sure. We just sting this thing up. Let's take a look at that routine slip. So let me see. Hopefully you guys could see that. It says here, a routine slip is a document or a configuration that specifies a route for a document or seek. Oh yes, now remember what that is. So there's a lot of different types of routine slips. They would usually place this or place a slip on documents. Let me just go back to the paper. So they would usually place a routine slip at a document or a mail to show sequence. Routine slip functions as a way of organizing mails in a sorting sequence. For example, A to Z. So the term routine slip is just a organizing documents, right? It's just a way of sequencing documents or organizing documents. So everyone with me on that? Everyone with me, chat? So let's look at the II, which is the second one for 2A. The mailroom clerk received an envelope containing a check for $3,800. Outline the procedure for handling this mail. Let me just put this in like a sorting. Yes, you could draw this. All right. Hopefully you could see that. Oh, that's too big. The mailroom clerk received an envelope containing a check for $3,800. So, first of all, let me just put this in a certain sequence. Received the mail. And you could do this differently, guys. You don't have to do it like how I'm doing it. You could just put it in steps. Just think of this thing. This thing is very small. Receive the mail. Just thing out a bit. Check. Check the routing slip. And after that, final account. Just draw that. Drawing is very bad, guys. So yes, I think that's the process. So after you receive the mail, you check the routing slip, meaning that you check who it belongs to, and after that you place it in the final account, or you placed it under the person's name who should have received the mail or who it belongs to, right? So identify 3 barriers to written communication. So written communication, we have letters, we have memos or memorandums. We have all of these things for letters. It says identify 3 barriers to written communication. Just check it out just to make sure. My old friend Google. So we can make sure we're on the right path. I have some ideas, but I'm just making sure that I'm right. Let me see, what does it have here? So some barriers to written communication could be like, for example, language nuances. It could be, for example, the language is too complex. The person misrepresented or did not understand where you're speaking from, or something like that, right? They did not understand language communications, unknown jargons. Let's just put that in. Let's put some of that in. Unknown jargons, nuances, language. So this is some of the barriers to written communication. Could be just unknown jargons. They might utilize what going on there, boy, and something like that. It's a Caribbean slang, and there are different Caribbean slangs that we might use, and that might cause unknown jargons. You may not understand the term, and we have language may be too complex. Someone may not understand what you're saying generally, because your language might be hello there, how are thee, or something like that. Like for example, if you read, like for example, with different books, and we might read it, but we might not fully understand because we are saying that the words are too complex. So let's move on to section C. Let's actually highlight this. So it says here, Premium Foods, St. George's had decided to recruit an additional purchasing clerk. Assume you are a clerk in the HR department, Human Resource Department, preparing for advertisement for the post of purchasing clerk using the following notes. The successful applicant should possess 5 CSEC passes, including English A and Office Administration. The applicant should have worked in a similar post for at least 24 months. Applicants should be submitted before 26th of April 2023. Include 2 duties that would be performed by the purchasing clerk. Include 2 attributions that a purchasing clerk should possess. Now let's brainstorm, guys. This is brainstorming time. Let me just make sure this is all right. Take out my little notes. Hopefully, guys, you're still with me. So we are gonna make some notes, guys, and if you have any ideas, don't be afraid to tell me in the comments below. I need to put this thing on fully thing conjugate my text. All right, hopefully you're able to see there. So this is some notes. Let's take down some notes. All right, guys. Hopefully, you're still with me. Puts on application on advertisement. Let me just go down a bit. Advertisement for the post purchasing clerk. So we have that out of the way. So the position is a purchasing clerk. Qualifications. It says the successful applicant should possess 5 C6 subjects. Qualifications. And let's just put qualifications right here. And this questions like this is not hard, guys. It just takes a bit of time. Um, the applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 passes. And when I mean 2 to 3 passes, I mean grades to apply, or the applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 grades to apply for the following job. The application should include, let's include maths. Let's fill out the whole maths, mathematics, social studies, chemistry, let's see what else, English A, and finally office administration. So that's the qualification. Now we have to get 2 duties. The duties of the said employee includes management of invoices and other documents, and then we have management of, let me just put that as point 1. You guys could see me there. Management of invoices and other related, just put that related documents. That is management of invoices and other related documents. And after that, we would have, like, for example, something about relation to payroll for said employees. So yes, we have the qualifications, we have the duties. Now we have to have the attributions. And if you guys want more live streams like this for CSEC preparation, and depending on how the video goes, you could tell me if you want another live stream for this again. So let's move on. So we have to have 2 attributions. Applicants must have at least 3 years in a said similar job. So they must have at least 3 years in said similar job. Must possess conversational proficiency, i.e. must be a people person. So we have that out of the way. So yes, we answered that question. So let's go back over this here. So notes on advertisement for post clerk. The applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 grades to apply for the job. The application should include math, social studies, chemistry, English, and office administration as the 5 subjects that they said. Duties. The duties of the said employee includes management of invoices and other related documents, payroll for said employees. Attributions. Applicants must have at least 3 years in a said similar job. Must possess conversational proficiency, i.e., must be a people person. So yes, we have those notes on that. Um, Job experience. Now let's move on to job experience. Job experience. 3 years and over. So yes, closing. If the said employee of the said applicant has the following attributions, sign here. I just put these things to show so that they could actually sign. And if not, let's just put that here. Sign here. Say yes. That's a closing. So this is the complete. And let's look back at the format. Let's just think of final read over. Purchasing clerk, advertisement for post purchasing clerk. The applicant should possess proficiency of 2 to 3 grades applied for the job. The application should include math, social studies, chemistry, English A, and office administration. Duties of the said employee includes management of invoices and other related documents. Payroll for said employees. Applicant must have at least 3 years in a said similar job. Must possess conversational proficiency, i.e., must be a people person. Job experience 3 years over. If the said applicant has the following attribution, sign here, and if not, sign here. So yes, that's that. That. Let's move on to 3. Just check back the chat. Hopefully everybody is still there with me. All right, guys. The Human Resource Office has scheduled a series of interviews to recruit new employees. State 3 reasons why a company would conduct interviews with prospective employees. This is not hard to make sure they are up for the job. To understand their standing and for the job, to understand their standing, where are they in the understand their goals and objective. So yes, that's 3 points right out of the bat. Let's put that right there. Let's move on. State or suggest 2 desirable behaviors an applicant should display during an interview. Communication proficiency, positive attitude. Positive attitude includes good hygiene, posture, smile, etc. So when we think of positive attitude and stuff like that, it's not only that they're positive, but it includes their posture, how they smile correctly, how they position themselves, do they position themselves in a good manner, and etc. Stuff like that you have to think of. And they need to have communication proficiency. If they don't have communication proficiency, you can't really apply for a job, because in the real world, let's be honest, you have to have good posture, you have to get good communication skills, you need to be a people person. Put that right on top there, people person. So yes, that's that for that. So let's move on. Hopefully everyone is still okay with me over there. How is everyone doing? So yes, you have good posture and stuff like that. So let's move on to C. The Human Resource Department. Let me just fix back this thing now. I don't think I really need it. All right. All right, guys, let's take a couple minutes break. Whew. Well, that was very exciting. I had to do the workout there. So let's look at C now. Let's answer that one. So it says the Human Resource Department may store information on the applicants in a shared database. State two benefits to an organization of a shared database. So improve cohesion and improve work proficiency. So yes, that's 2 points right out of the way. All right, so we did answer that one. Let's see how much more questions we have to go. We don't have a lot more to go, guys. We could do this up to section 5. So let's look at Dino. I think I might need to debug that again. So there are a number of legal stipulations related to the access and retention of documents. For each of the following stipulations, outline one example to show how the stipulation may be violated. Just look at breach of confidence. So, in terms of like a breach of confidence occurs when someone misuses or reveals sensitive information without permission, right? Resulting in harm to the affected party. Examples of employees' breach of duty of trust, of confidence, of or something like that, is failure to investigate an unreasonable working workplace. For example, if you give out sensitive information that should not be given out sensibly, that's what we call breach of confidence. If you're giving out information, if you're giving out data that should not be given out, or information that's only included in the business, that's a breach of confidence. It's a violation. So we have that out of the way. Um, let's look at the rights of access. Um, all right, let's look at the rights of access. So the rights of access includes information about the processing purposes, the categories of personal data processed, recipients, or categories of receipts. So um, it's similar to breach of confidence, but it's not like that because breach of confidence is more particular. So yes, breach of confidence or rights of access is when when you get in access or when you have access to personal information in a business and you display that information. That's what we call breach of confidence. You basically take that information and then you start to share it, and that's what breach or rights of access is, because you're breaking a truce. You should not have utilized the data for those insantical purposes. So we have those that point out of the way. Now let's look at secrecy provisions. So secrecy provisions are those legislative provisions that impose confidentiality obligations on individuals or entities. So if you're within, like for example, the cabinet, you can't really share that information with anyone. You can't share certain information with anyone. So when you know, or when in a case that you do share that information, we call that a breach of secrecy provisions. So let's move on. We have that out of the way, and we have one of the most widely used term. Like this is a very broad term, which is defamation, and this is used a lot. But some of you guys don't know what defamation actually is. So defamation is the act of making false statement of a person in order to invoke harm. So so defamation is the act of making false statements against a person in the hopes of creating harm. So you see your worker enjoying himself, he's getting a lot of money, so you go up and tell your boss that he should be put down to a less degree. He's going out at night, he's doing this ABCD. That's defamation. If you're making a false statement against a person and you're hoping to create a negative result, that is defamation. Defamation happens a lot of times in this society we live in. So we have our section II. Section II now. It says state two reasons why after applying for a post, the successful applicant would be provided with a job description. A job description is provided for a lot of reasons, but one of the main reasons is to make sure that the said applicant is proficient enough for the job. So that's about it. These are the reasons why they might want to know it, and they might want to know if you have the right qualifications. So yes, that's only worth 2 marks. The Human Resource Department has realized that there has been an increase in the labor turnover rate in the last 6 months. The total amount persons employed at the given moment. Okay, sorry for that, guys. That's my error here. Employee turnover is the amount of turnovers that have left the organization over a fixed period of time. I think I lost my train of thought there. So employee turnover is a measurement of how many employees leave an organization over a fixed period of time. In this case, 6 months. Identify two external factors that might contribute to high turnover rate in a company. Um, bad, bad worker facilitation and defamation. Somebody talking your name a lot, you get fed up with them, so you leave the company. Not easy, bad. Anyways, that's the life right now. But this, another thing with easy, bad, because the first question because I don't I think I didn't them like them study geography a lot, but the question they will show you a map and they just circle up a section A with some small islands. Them small islands with the lesser Antilles or the Antilles. Some of the question even make that sense. Like them think they just give away the answer. Becca, I take them structure this question like this, right? Them say what is the latitude of North Col? This is like the most giveaway question I could possibly think of. Mommy, understand what I'm trying to tell you there? They say what is the latitude of North? What is the latitude of North Col? This the answer was the northern latitude. Now give away the whole question. The answers like literally you said it. Anyways, guys, hopefully back with you. I did a social studies past paper today for 20th June. So I'm just chatting about that a bit. So let's we'll look at this on the later live stream, guys. I have to close. I'm already gone for 40 minutes. Honestly, I wanted to go for an hour, but that's tiring, guys. So, anyways, hopefully, and if you want, type in the comments if you want more videos like this. I'm trying to do one more before the day is out. So, anyways, guys, see you on the next video. Peace.